The challenge that I gave you in the main presentation this week is a difficult one. I asked you to pick one belief you hold strongly, set a 15-minute timer, and then look for the best arguments against that belief. As I said, it's difficult. In fact, I would bet that most people won't do it justice. They'll either find shoddy arguments against their strongly held belief, or they won't actually challenge a strongly held belief. Either way, it deserves a bit more time and attention, so that's what we'll do right now. Welcome to another bonus edition of the MTB Podcast, a segment of the weekly episode that I call Afterthoughts. This is my favorite part of these weekly presentations because it gives me a chance to dig a little deeper into something that came up during the main episode. Now, let's be honest. Challenging our own beliefs is one of the hardest things any of us can do. It feels risky. When someone questions what we believe, it can feel like they're questioning who we are. But here's the truth. If we can't test our beliefs, we stop growing. In this episode, I want to talk about how to challenge your ideas without losing your sense of self. We'll look at why this feels so hard, what's really happening in our brains, and how we can separate healthy reflection from the cynicism that shuts everything down. This is the work of personal growth, because we don't protect our peace by defending old ideas. We protect our growth by testing them. So, get settled in for another episode of Afterthoughts. All right, let's start with something simple but powerful. Understanding the difference between opinions, beliefs, and identity. An opinion is a preference, a viewpoint that you can change when new information comes along. Think of it like your favorite route to work. If traffic patterns change, you make adjustments. No biggie. A belief, that's something deeper. It's something that you think reflects reality itself. It could be something like believing in justice, equality, or free will. And then there are what we would call identity beliefs. These are the ones that are basically fused with who we think we are. When a belief becomes part of your identity, it stops feeling like an idea and starts feeling like an extra limb. Challenge it, and it feels like someone's trying to amputate part of you. That's why it's so painful when someone questions something that we just know to be true. It doesn't feel like a debate. It feels like an attack. But here's the key. If we want to evolve, we need to start labeling the belief, not the self. We need to say, I hold the belief that, instead of thinking, I am the kind of person who believes such and such. That one small shift, it keeps your identity flexible and your mind open. Now let's talk about what your brain does when your beliefs are challenged. It's not personal, it's biology. You see, we all have a few built-in tripwires. First is the confirmation loop. Our brains love to find information that agrees with what we already think. It's faster, it's easier, it's a hell of a lot less stressful. Now, the second tripwire is sunk cost pride. If you've defended a belief for years, admitting you might be wrong feels like throwing away all that effort, all of those sunk costs. And the third tripwire is tribal comfort. We want to belong. We'd rather be wrong with our people than right and alone. So we dig in. We argue harder, not smarter. But there's a better way. Instead of letting our brains protect our egos, we can give them a new job description. Protect your growth, not just your ego. That one change turns defensiveness into curiosity. Suddenly, learning something new isn't losing. Learning something new is winning. So remember that. Protect your growth, not just your ego. All right, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about mood. Specifically, the difference between pessimism and cynicism. It's easy to confuse them, but they're not the same. Former Secretary of Labor Robert Reich says that pessimism is okay, cynicism is not. Pessimism says this is going to be hard. Right? It's grounded, realistic, even cautious. But pessimists can still act. They just plan more carefully. Cynicism, on the other hand, says people are trash and nothing matters. It's not realism. It's surrender. Cynicism builds a wall where a door to learning should be. Right? So here's a line to remember. Pessimism plans. Cynicism quits. We can survive a season of pessimism. It helps us brace for challenges and it helps us plan smartly. But cynicism is the rot that sets in when we give up on improvement, when we give up on others and eventually on ourselves. Here's why knowing the difference is important. When we challenge our beliefs, cynicism whispers, "What's the point?" But pessimism still leaves room for curiosity. So pessimism answers, let's find out. And that answer keeps us alive. It keeps us awake. And it keeps us still capable of change. So how do we actually do this? How do we challenge our beliefs without unraveling ourselves? Well, I call it the gentle unfusing process, because it's not about tearing things down. It's about loosening the grip so that new insight can breathe a little bit. So the first step one, label the belief, not the self. Say, I hold a belief that whatever it is, instead of I'm the kind of person who believes that thing. That tiny language shift can keep your self-worth intact. Step two, steelman the other side. Right? To steelman something is the opposite of building a straw man. Right? A straw man is a weak argument that we can easily attack, and we see this all the time. Politicians do it all the time. They create a straw man of an argument, claiming that this is what the other side says, and then they easily attack that argument. Right? Not so when you steelman something. Steelmanning, it means describing the strongest version of the opposing argument. Right? Not the dumb version, not the internet meme version, the best, most reasonable case against your view. When you do that, it forces your brain to listen and analyze, not just react. Analysis is intellectual. Reaction is emotional. We want to support the intellectual. So, step one, label the belief, not the self. Step two, steelman the other side. Step three, run the if-then drill. Ask yourself, if this counter-argument is right, what would I change? My policy, my tone, my priorities? Right? This helps you practice flexibility and intellectual curiosity. If the counter-argument is right and you're unwilling to change anything, this drill should help identify that problem ahead of time. So run the if-then drill. If this counter-argument is right, what would I change? Step four, re-rate your confidence. Right? Give your belief a number between 0 and 10 before and after you explore the opposing view. If it drops, if your confidence in the view drops after you make adjustments, well, that's learning. If it holds, it's stronger. And either way, you win. But remember this, if the belief is fused to your identity, test it more gently, not less. This practice keeps your mind a bit more elastic. It replaces defensiveness with curiosity. And it helps you remember that beliefs aren't meant to be fortresses. Beliefs are simply tools. And tools are supposed to be sharpened. Now, let's connect this to the challenge from the main presentation. Right? As a reminder, again, I asked you to pick one strong belief and spend 15 minutes looking for the best arguments against it. Now, that's not a trap. It's training. It's a 15-minute exercise in intellectual humility. You don't need to pick your biggest identity belief. Just choose one thing you feel sure about. Politics, culture, even something personal. And then test it. Use reliable sources. Give yourself a timer. Keep the experiment contained and safe. This isn't about proving yourself wrong. It's really about proving that you're capable of continuing to learn and grow. Here's what happens when you do this. If your confidence in that belief goes down, well, that's growth. You just got smarter. If your confidence holds steady, that's growth too, because you've verified a position that you've taken. If you change your mind, that's wisdom. You've updated your worldview to better fit reality. Right? It's a simple process. Steelman first, re-rate later, adjust when reality asks you to. This kind of thinking doesn't make you weaker. It makes you anti-fragile. It means you get stronger every time your ideas get tested. Look, some people worry that questioning everything it'll make them lose their moral compass. But that's not true. You don't need blind certainty to stand for something. Think of it like this. Your core values are your moral direction. Things like fairness, honesty, compassion. Your evidence is your course correction. You need both. You need core values, your moral direction, and evidence, your course correction. You need both to move forward in the right direction. Values tell you why to act. Evidence tells you how to act better next time. So, I guess here's the formula. Strong values, but with an open mind. That's not flip-flopping. That's integrity. Strong values, but with an open mind. That's how we stay principled and adaptable, moral and teachable. If you want to make this real, here's your micro plan for the week. Write down one belief in a single sentence. Find 2 credible counter sources that challenge that belief. Extract at least one solid point from each of those sources. Then ask yourself, if they're right, what would I need to change? You can write it, think it, or talk it through with someone you trust. The point is to start loosening the grip that your beliefs have, just enough to let curiosity breathe. And remember, questioning your beliefs isn't betraying them. It's like testing a bridge. You're making sure it can still hold weight. I used to focus solely on defending my beliefs. I thought that doing that showed strength and wisdom, but all it showed was a stubborn unwillingness to accept any new information if it meant that I might need to change. Because if I needed to change, that must mean that I was wrong. And I didn't want to be wrong. I don't see it that way anymore. In fact, what I view as wrong is stubbornly clinging to beliefs that cause harm and being unwilling to even consider new information or strong challenges to those beliefs. What's wrong is being unwilling to even consider changing your mind. At the end of the day, wisdom isn't about collecting facts. Wisdom is about staying open. Every time you test what you believe, you clear away a little more arrogance and make space for understanding. You grow stronger, kinder, and more accurate. So as you go into this week, remember this simple truth. We don't lose ourselves by testing our beliefs. We find a wiser version of ourselves in the process. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Afterthoughts. If you want to keep up on everything I'm doing, please head over to thecodaproject.com and subscribe to my newsletter. You'll get notifications whenever I publish anything, and I'll also keep you updated on the weekly live streams of Mythologizing the Bible. Also, if you subscribe for free over at the Coda Project, you'll start receiving my resource called the Weekly Compass. It's a brief, once-a-week guide on a single core value. You can think of it as a mini lesson plan for personal growth. It's perfect for families, students, and adults because I include discussion questions designed for each age group. Each issue centers on a short reflection about the value, followed by discussion questions that are tailored for different age groups, from kids to college students to adults. And then a simple take-action step, like a small challenge or exercise you can do to put that value into practice. Especially for families, it's designed to be an easy way to ensure that at least once a week, you're making time to talk about morality, ethics, and core values. So if you're interested, go subscribe for free at thecodaproject.com. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, remember to question everything, keep what's good, and live what matters.